I've recently been exploring what's happened to the BBC's Doctor Who website and stuff that's featured prominently on their social media, which is something that I'd been heavily warned against doing, as I was told that it could send people like me into a blinding rage. But given I've been spending a couple of years trying to analyse why I've become so disheartened with the direction the show's been going in, and it's been feeling lately like the show is being written with far too much awareness of how the internet is going to absorb the events of the narrative, I felt this video has become utterly necessary. Some of you out there may remember that once upon a time, the official Doctor Who website was full of these fun little flash games, which, while not exactly amazing, they felt like someone was actually putting some effort and creativity into them. Particularly the little game based on Rob Shearman's Dalek. While the site was nothing special, it was a nice little addition to the experience of watching the show. And it also served as a portal to the classic series for lots of us, as only a handful of the serials were on DVD at that point, and you'd find they had basically all of the history of the show laid out really well in a bunch of web pages that you could just sink hours into. You also found they'd done some flash animated cartoons, and they had some free full ebooks of out-of-print original Doctor Who novels. In 2005, it was like stumbling across buried treasure. Things have changed a lot since then. While they do still have some of that stuff, the site's undergone a massive overhaul, and the tone of their content, not just on the site but their Facebook and Twitter as well, has vastly changed to reflect certain other internet time vampires out there, not naming any names, but yes, I'm talking about that one. They've also got these little character bio things for all of the memorable, well fleshed out characters like the General, Matt Lucas guy, Limpy, Santa Claus. They've also got behind the scenes clips, including the exhilarating people filming a man playing the guitar in a room. And Moffat himself pops up occasionally in top tips for writing. Wow, this will be good.
One thing you got to remember when you're embarking and writing a Doctor Who story is that long last, you're in charge. If you've ever sat watching a Doctor Who story and you've had a better idea about what could happen, and you think, oh, this isn't a good one, I could do it better, well, here you are, you're in charge. You can make on that screen what happen you want to happen. So abuse your power and start abusing it now.
Well, at least he's honest about it. But of course you will be aware of why the Doctor Who website is famous these days, because they've been following the trend of recent internet content into the gutter. I'm sure you will all be familiar with the concept of clickbait, articles with sensationalist titles written in a way that implies that you should click here now to read something interesting, which then, once you open it, reveals itself to contain absolutely no information that you couldn't get from just doing a simple Google search, if you even needed to know it in the first place, which you probably didn't. The example I've got here from the official Doctor Who Facebook page is called 9 Things You Need to Know About the New Companion. Or, as you get when you actually click on it, the slightly less urgent sounding 9 Things About the New Companion. And I'm going to go through all of them now. Number 1. She's never encountered the Daleks before, as you can see in this brand new Doctor Who video. Number 1. This is something that happened in this video that you've probably already seen if you've loaded up this webpage in the first place, and if you haven't, we've basically just spoiled what happens in the video for you. Number 2. The new companion is going to be called Bill. See my previous point. And I thought her name was supposed to be Asbill, seeing as there's no space there. This is one of the BBC's biggest money spinners, what the fuck? Number 3. Pearl Mackie is an amazing young talent from Brixton, South London, and has recently performed in the National Theatre's West End production of The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Night Time. Okay, 1. That's in all the press releases and isn't exactly information that anyone reading this has never seen before, and 2. That is not a fact about the new companion. That's about the lady that's playing the companion. Number 4. Coincidentally, Pearl has appeared in another BBC programme featuring doctors, the medical drama series Doctors. I refer you to my previous point. Number 5. Pearl also performs as a singer, a passion for music she shares with Peter Capaldi. Maybe we'll see a doctor and companion duet. Okay, didn't know that, but music's a pretty diverse thing, you know. There aren't exactly that many people who don't like any music at all. That's not exactly something they have in common. Ooh, I like music. Wow, so do I. What music do you like? Well, I like Bach, I like Schubert and Mozart. What do you like? Cannibal Corpse, Napalm Death and Dark Throne. And again, that's about the lady that plays her. Maybe the character will be musically inclined, but yeah, again, you want to read that title back to yourself. Wait a sec, the title says the new Doctor Who companion, Pearl Mackie. Wait, so is the companion called Pearl Mackie and Asbill is the name of the actress? Really? Did they fuck up that caption even more than we thought they did? And if her name actually is Asbill, what kind of fucking sadistic parent would actually go ahead and call their kid Asbill? Number 6. Not that she'll need to use these with the TARDIS's translation circuit, but Pearl speaks French and Spanish. Great skills for any traveller. Again, Pearl is the actress. Asbill is the character. Also, you do know that the TARDIS's translation circuit isn't real, right? Number 7. We all know the Doctor likes to dance. Do we? Is that his thing? I thought it was the guitar now. So Pearl's moves may come in handy. She's skilled in ballet, jazz, period dance, and tap. Okay, these people don't know anything about Asbill yet. They know just as much as we do, i.e. fuck all. This headline implies relevant information about a new character in a franchise. The BBC social media staff are just as clueless at this point as you are. Pretty much anyone could have written this. You, me, some bloke off the street. Basically, if you have access to Google, you could have written this. This article requires the ability to use a keyboard, and that's it. Number 8. Pearl honed her craft at Bristol's Old Vic Theatre School, the same school that Samantha Bond trained at, aka Mrs. Wormwood in the Doctor Who spin-off The Sarah Jane Adventures. Okay, didn't know that, but again, what relevance does this have to the fictional character and the fictional world of the show? Do you ever notice how in movie interviews people tend to talk more about the characters instead of themselves? Because the characters are kind of the things that the piece of media is about. Number 9. Pearl told us she's a big fan of afros. Did she really tell you that? Or are you just inferring that by the fact that she has one? Anyway, while I'm on the video that they introduced Asbill in, it was possibly one of the most clickbaity things I've ever seen, and I'd wager that it was written purely with the intention of giving social media something to do. I could just picture the social media team watching it and circling facts in it to be easily diluted into online content. The Daleks are in it. New companion's name, distinctive physical feature, afro, crap joke that can be made into a GIF with a subtitle, poster shot and done. It's not really telling us anything of substance about the character. It's composed in a way that suggests it was designed to be carved up and served to different social media websites, and if that wasn't the intention, it certainly feels like it. Am I talking out my arse here? Because I really don't think I am. Doctor Who has got to have a way to prove it's still culturally relevant and worth licence fee funding, given just how much utter contempt the current government is showing the BBC at the moment. And putting something like this together allows for a simple, easy-to-make bit of content to multiply into a shit ton more facts and figures demonstrating that yes, people are talking about this. Whether or not the content that disseminates from it has actually got any reason to exist or not, which in this case it doesn't. I think this article's kind of similar to when newspapers report on the events of a reality TV show. Whenever Big Brother's on, they always report on the previous night's edition of the show for some reason, when if you haven't seen that edition yet, but are going to, they've just spoilt what happens in it for you. If you haven't seen it and don't intend to, you don't give a shit. But also, if you have seen the show in question, all it's doing is just feeding back to you something that you already know because you just watched the fucking thing last night, rendering the entire article utterly pointless. Imagine you sat and watched a TV show, then you look online to learn more about it, and the only extra content that's been added to the website was just a description of the events in the thing that you just watched. Yes, we know she has an afro. We just sat and watched it already. There is a toaster in this shot. Now we are looking at the toaster from a different angle. Now the toaster has been turned upside down. The top 9 best facts about that sequence in that He Who Moans video about the toaster. Number 1. In the first shot of the toaster, we can see the plug, So clearly it is not being currently used for the purpose that toasters are conventionally used for at this moment in time. Number 2. Then the toaster is shot from a different angle, and in this angle you can clearly see that the toaster is still a fucking toaster, you moron. Just look at it. Hell, I'd also wager that the way that Moffat's been just putting fan service into episodes without adding much depth to it is purely so it can be carved up by social media and used for sound bites, 6-second GIFs, entries on top 10 lists and hashtags. I'd always assumed that stuff like that sequence in Hellbent where Clara runs into some weeping angels and a Dalek and a Cyberman was just done as a cheap way to make people squee and go, "Oh my god, there's a weeping angel in it." And the way that he brought back the old Daleks and there isn't that much of a narrative justification for it, they're just sort of there. Well, would it be wrong of me to suggest that maybe these examples were done purely to give social media something to do? I mean, there wasn't really that much of a narrative reason for either of the aforementioned examples at all. The story would have got by just fine without them. It wouldn't surprise me if the show's being written with far too much awareness of how the content's going to be spread around social media. Hey everybody, here's the Doctor playing the guitar on a tank. Why, you say? Why, Stuart? Do you need a reason why? What's wrong with you? It's just cool. No, don't ask why, it just is. Hashtag cool. Hashtag epic. Look, here's a gif of it. Retweet this. So anyway, this has been very depressing. I think all I have to say in summation is, thank God for Clickhole. The end.